up, traders? So probability, what is it and how is it used in trading? Let's talk about it, shall we? Where's that intro button? All right, traders, welcome. Appreciate you stopping by. So the first thing we're going to talk about is probability and the definition of probability. It's pretty simple. Everybody thinks they know what probability is, and they probably do know what probability is, but we're just going to spell it out just in case. So it's the extent to which something is probable, the likelihood of something happening or being the case, and as an event, a probable or the most probable event. So really, to just get into that, we are going to talk about basically how you can associate it with the likelihood or chance of something happening. So, for example, let's take a dice. So if you have the dice and it's got 6 sides, the odds of rolling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 is 1 in 6, right? That's the probability of rolling any one of those numbers, which is what, a 16.6% chance of it occurring. So what is always critical to remember is that every possible outcome has an associated probability. So even the very remote and unlikely outcomes can occur. So one of my favorite things in the world, well, it used to be, still play it from time to time, is poker. Hold'em to be specific. Probability has a lot to do with poker, and we can use it as an example because a lot of people also play poker and they understand, the game of poker. So say for instance, all the cards are, you have your 2 cards in the hole. Say you have pocket aces and there's 2 aces out on the board, but there's also the possibility of a straight flush out on the board. If your opponent's holding the exact 2 cards that could beat you. The probability of you winning that hand with 4 aces is very likely. However, just like in trading, that you can be wrong and you can actually be beat. And I'm sorry if you can hear me itching. I'm still recovering from poison ivy, and I can't stop. I can't stop itching. But what I'm getting at is the fact that some people get blinded by the fact that they're holding 4 aces, or they have 4 aces at the end of the hand, that they don't even see that the possibility of a straight flush is out there. But you always have to be aware of the probability that it can happen. So, for instance, since I have this chart up, CTRV, when it made this move up at the beginning of the day, the probability of this coming back down, just like it did, is highly likely. However, how many times have we seen something like, we'll just do like BPTH, where if you go back on, let's see, 3-7, of course I'm on the paper so I can't do it, but back on March 7th, that chart, if we go back to CTRV, it just kept on going. There might have been like a little bit of a pullback, but she just kept on going. And then eventually you got into a point where it's short squeezed, and then you start getting people that are, getting margin called. And at that point, it's just like an avalanche, it just keeps going. So the odds of a BPTH happening are like in a poker hand. Say you're down to the last card, the river card, and there's only 2 cards in the deck that could possibly beat you. I believe that puts you at a 98% chance to win. That 2% can happen. That BPTH can happen. So when you get into a trade, and say you even like top tick this and it comes down, like say you got in at the high of 1066 and she comes down to like 1050 and you're waiting for that 1050 break, and then all of a sudden she just shoots up and you're like, it's okay. It wanted to pull back. It'll come back down. And then BPTH occurs, the old black swan metaphor. It can happen. So are you saying if you had quad aces, you're going to fold if he did have a straight flush? I'm never folding quad aces. It's just not going to happen. But at any given point in time at the poker table, you have a set risk, right? If you go all in, that's all you can lose, and you know what you're going to lose. If you go all in per se on a short position or even a long position, a long position, you know what you can lose. It can only go to zero, but a short position, that thing could just keep on going. So the end result there could just be whatever is in your account and you get margin called. So it's a little different when it comes to that. I'm more so talking about the probability that it can happen. And I'm never saying fold 4 aces. Don't do it. You're going to be the winner way more often than you're the loser. Like I said, you have the high probability of winning. It's just, again, when you go all in with those 4 aces, you have to know that the risk of you losing to a straight flush is there. Just like when you take a position here, you have to realize that, okay, it played out in your favor, but that's why we call it risk, because you're putting risk on knowing that this could continue higher. So say you even top tick this at 1066, you need to be prepared if this thing goes to 11 or even 12 or even 13. Like, you need to be prepared if that, you need to have what ifs in your strategy if that happens. So that's what I'm getting at. But the probability of this coming back down like it did is likely. However, it's not always the case. And to get into that a little bit more, let me see what I had something else written down here. Yeah, right. So I basically said that. So it's basically saying, what I was getting at is, so you obviously, like, if you're just starting the hand, you have more chances of winning with, say, pocket aces than you do 7-2 offsuit. Obviously, the best hand versus the worst hand. However, both of those hands can end up being the winning hand. So that's where probability comes in. Just because 7-2 offsuit is probably, or is, the worst starting hand, the probability of it winning is still there. And that also, transfers over into trading, because to me, this is like having pocket aces. You get a big extension like this, you look to get short, and when it comes back down, that's the probable thing to happen, and that's winning the hand with pocket aces. Having 7-2 offsuit, this isn't the case. 7-2 offsuit would be like if you're trying to short on like this candle, where, it's not really extended, doesn't really have, you can look for a resistance to the left, but you're not really in, a good spot down here. Whereas even if you waited till like right here, you're in a much better spot. So, this is your 7-2 offsuit down here. This is like your pocket nines, and up here is like your pocket aces. Obviously, this is in hindsight because we can see the chart. But, these are the charts that you're looking for. You're looking for those pocket aces type setups. So what I'm getting at is there are good hands, aka good setups, and there's bad hands, aka bad setups, in trading. So a lot of poker translates over to trading in a good way. So I have a bunch of charts here. They're all ascending triangles, and it's the textbook ascending triangle that you would see. You get a big move down. I'll just pull one up. So get a big move down, and then you start to form into an ascending triangle. Now, this is basically the blueprint for one of the better setups that you can trade. It's the exact same thing for a descending triangle in reverse, where you would get the big move up, and then it starts forming a descending triangle, I guess like that. Squeezes tight at the end, and then it would drop if it was in reverse. But I have a bunch here for ascending triangles. So this is the first one, and as you can see, we get the big move down. So this is one that worked. All right, let's go to the next one. This is one that came down. Obviously, as you can see, it wasn't a huge move. But then she starts her ascending triangle and she fails. So we're 1 for 1. Third one. Big move down, ascending triangle, and she continues up through the ascending triangle. So we're 2 and 1. Move down, ascending triangle, continues up. 3 to 1. Move down. Is that the same one? It looks the same, but it's not. And that's the thing. You get a bunch of charts that look very similar, but they're actually not. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's not the same. So ascending triangle moves up and continues. That's 4 to 1. Ascending triangle, big move down, ascending triangle, moves up. Obviously, this one comes back down, but you're not looking, for a long-term trade. You're looking for that ascending triangle breakout. You're looking to get in when it squeezes tight, and then you're looking for that quick move up. So that's 5 to 1. Big move down, nice ascending triangle. And again, not all triangles are perfect, but as you can see, this one does end up squeezing pretty tight, and then boom, squeezes up. 6 to 1. Ascending triangle after the move down, boom, squeezes up. 8 to 1, or 7 to 1. Ascending triangle, can't see before, and this one fails. So 8 to 2. And this is the last one I got. Move down. It looks like it was a weird move. This might have been a different picture because the lines are different. So move down, ascending triangle, and she fails. So 70%. So the odds are with all of these, like take this one. I mean, this one's pretty. We'll go to a more textbook one. Where's that one that was like perfect? This one. So you have the big move down, and she starts her ascending triangle up. And I mean, this is textbook. This is what you're looking for. These are very reliable trades, especially the other way for descending triangles. Just because over and over again, you'll see them and they work. But as you can see in the 10 examples, I had 70% of them that worked. So what I'm getting at is if you take the same amount of risk and you apply it to a strategy like that, and if you're only winning 70% of the time, if you take all 10 of those trades and you apply your risk correctly, the probability of you making money is 70%, according to these 10 charts. Now, if you take it over a bigger sample, I have a feeling that you might be looking at a little bit better of a percentage of that because, the ascending descending triangle is one of the most reliable trades you can have. And again, it's impossible to say without absolute certainty what will happen next. Again, like even on this para into a short, you don't know if that's the right time to, get short. But based off of, previous experience, you can see these candles and then look at this candle. It's twice the size of these candles. It just squeezed. So the odds are you're running out of buyers when you can kind of, read the tape and feel the top there. So if you get in, I mean, the odds, the probability of this, not a, necessarily a flush like this. I mean, this one just went all the way back down, but the odds of you at least getting something down to like that previous area of resistance, which was like right here, is highly likely. And, that's what I look for. So anything can and will happen. Like I said, BPTH. There's been other ones, Hunt, MTSI, like there's just a couple OCX. Those are the two big ones for me. But those are really, the big ones. But I will say that you can confidently say that like the ascending triangle setup that I did show you is going to be more successful than it is not. Even if it's 70%, again, even if you're doing a 1-to-1 risk, right? If you're risking $100 to make $100, if you do it 70% of the time, you're going to make $70 or you're going to make $700. You're going to lose $300. So you're going to gain $400 every 10 times that you trade that setup. Obviously if it's always 70%, but that's according to you taking every single one that you see. They're not all going to work, but that's not the point. The point is that you trade the setup, you manage your risk correctly, and that's that's how you play the probabilities of the stock market. It really can be that simple if you make it that simple. And that's where a lot of people fail. They'll get in that one that's not working, and they don't want to be wrong. They're like, well, this pattern works, for me, it's been working 90% of the time. And you're trying to make it work 100% of the time because you don't want to be wrong. And that's just, no, you have to admit when you're wrong and manage your risk and not let it turn into something outrageous, because that's how you lose all your money. And that's why I'm paper trading right now, because I let that happen on MTSI. So if you don't know what's going to happen, how can you possibly trade without a framework that accounts for any possible outcome? It is the uncertainty, the probabilistic nature of the stock market, which drives the need for trading rules, risk management, and emotional management structure, which is what I just went over. Because you never know if this time will be the winner or a loser. Every possible outcome should be accounted for in your trade plan before you enter a position. And that goes back to me saying, if you want a 1-to-1 risk ratio, that's a good ratio for the ascending descending triangles, because you're coming off of the big moves either up or down, and you're really just looking for that flush based off the triangle. Because if you think about it, if she comes down, she starts forming, let's just draw an imaginary one here real quick. So let's say she starts forming a descending triangle right here, and she's squeezing tight. Well, technically, she's already given back, say the top is 1066. She's already down here at 10. So you're looking for that $10 break to come back down here towards VWAP. So let's say you'd have to be risking up to 1066 at 60 cents. So if you're looking for 60 cents, that's down here at 1040. So what you could do is, if you're risking the $100 on 60 cents, that's 60 shares, right? Yeah, no, that's let me do that. I'm sorry. 100 divided by 0.6. It's 166 shares or so. So you would be risking, to me, when you play a triangle, this one would be maybe a little bit hard to play, because you want to always risk off high a day. Because how many times you see, something spike out and then, try high a day and then come down and fail. That happens a lot too. And essentially that still would be considered a descending triangle that worked if she pops up, fails, and comes back down. It's not a textbook one, but it is still one that happens, and it happens all the time. How many times you see it, people get faked out when it breaks, the trend line coming down. People, start covering, all the shorts start covering because they're like, crap, the trend's breaking. And then she'll get up to like here and she'll get hammered all the way back down, and then she'll end up breaking, say, that $10 area. However, looking for that 1-to-1 here, it's tough, because that's a pretty big ask. But obviously it was possible, and it did happen, because you would have been looking for 940 down here. So that's something that you would just have to kind of, weigh into your strategy when you do have a descending triangle that happens so low away from the high a day. But most descending triangles, I guess I could have drew it up here, are usually a little bit closer, because you'll see them come up, they'll come down, they try to consolidate, they keep testing a certain level, we'll say like 1020, which would be a lot more reasonable. So you'd be risking 40 cents to make 40 cents, which at that point would be 980. And if you get that flush under 1020, she comes down to 10, she gets under 10, usually she's going to drop down to there and you're good to go. So that would be a lot more reasonable. And that's something you could look into as well. If it doesn't meet your 1-to-1 ratio, if that's what you're using, then don't take it. A lot of people are like, well, I just do 2-to-1 ratio on everything, 2-to-1 ratio, and that's not always the case. What's up, Tom? How you been, man? Good to see you. I've been watching some of your live streams. I haven't really chimed in because I've been so tired and just itching and not able to sleep. So I've more so just been kind of stalking your streams. But I've liked your streams. They've been good, man. Keep those up. But yeah, so after that's pretty much what we're looking for as far as, entering the positions, having that plan before you enter. because, the unfortunate outcomes are part of the process, and how you manage their effects emotionally and financially is what separates the consistent traders from the 90 percenters. The people that, and this is something I'm working on, say I got into this trade right here at the top, say I completely top ticked it, right? And she comes down to that 1050 area, like right here. And she kind of just hovers, around for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then she decides to shoot back up, right? And go high a day. Well, the old me, the MTSI me, would say, okay, bring it on. I'm going to fight you because look how extended you are, right? You're so extended. And if you want to extend yourself more, let's play. Wrong. What I should be doing is, if on this candle, right, I get in and say on this next 1 minute candle, which I don't trade on the 1 minute, by the way, but it's just easier to show what I'm talking about on a 1 minute chart. Say on this next 1 minute candle, she continues after I got in. Okay, let's play ball. You're still extending on that same push, if that makes sense. It's still making that same initial push. You want to extend yourself on that first initial push without any selling pressure yet? Go for it. I'm game. Let's go. However, if I got in at 1066 here and she comes down to 1050 and consolidates for 2-3 minutes, and then she decides to push, the odds are that's not a great entry. So if you top ticked it, you're in the best position here to cut, because that's going to be the best risk off ever for what you did. Okay, yeah, you missed out on 14 cents, whatever. But when she comes up and breaks high day, you need to get out, because the odds are she's going to continue, right? So when she does continue, you just say, okay, you weren't ready to be shorted yet. Let's see what you got. All right. So let's make another run, extend herself further from, VWAP, and because that's usually what we're looking for, is that extension from VWAP. So say she's up here now at 1140, right? Now look how extended she would look, even if it's over here, right? So now we can try to get back in, and say she gets up to 1140. We're kind of feeling the top. We miss the top, shoots back down. We get in like 1128 or something like that. Did I call you Tom? My bad. Shame on me. Tom is the guy I've been playing Rocket League a lot with, learning to day trade. I don't know why it just kind of slipped out. I saw trades, and it just slipped out. But so say I get in 1128, and now she decides to come back down to 11. The odds are I'm going to probably, if she's starting to hang out at 11, I'm going to probably take at least half my position, because, if she doesn't break, I don't want it to shoot up, squeeze up again. Because at this point, you have a lot of shorts in that are from this initial move that are waiting for this thing to come back down. But if they start to see it go high a day again after it fails to get back under 11, the odds are they're all going to start covering, thinking, okay, I need to just cut my loss. But now we're in, up near the high a day now, because we were smart enough to cut our loss quickly and let her do her thing. So if we hadn't, 1066 and 1128 were somewhere right in the middle, right around 11. So now if we didn't do that and say we added to our position at 1128, it gives us an average of right around 11. So now she's hovering right around 11. Now say we took 200 shares and 200 shares. Now we got 400 shares, and it's hovering right at our average. And we're like, crap, do I want to just cut this, try to take it for break even, or do I want to wait for it to, try to break 11? And I was put in this situation all the time. And I can't tell you how many times where I end up in this trade for so much longer than I needed to be, because she'll hover around 11 and then she'll shoot back up, test high a day. And I'm sitting there with 400 shares, like going, holy crap, 40 cents of 400 shares. What's that? That's 80 bucks, right? No, 40, 4, 8, 12, 16, 160 bucks. Right? Am I? Man, I swear when I get tired, I cannot do math. 400 times 0.4. Yeah, 160 bucks. So I was right. So now I'm sitting there, it's near high day, and I'm like, crap, am I going to have to cover this? Am I going to have to cover my position and cut the loss, when it goes high day again, when it breaks 1140, and, it's hovering around there, and I'm like, I start getting emotional, right? Whereas if I would have just took the cut here to begin with, look how less emotional I am. I took, on 200 shares, a 2-cent loss. It's nothing. That's a couple bucks and plus commissions or whatever. But now you're out of the trade and you're waiting for a better position on a stock that is still extending itself. You were just a little early, and you need to accept the fact that you were wrong and that you were early. Which chart do you use over the 1 minute and why? Yeah, thanks for the 160. Yeah, I'm really good at math too. That's the funny part. But when it gets this late and maybe a couple drinks in, I use the 2 minute. I'll actually switch over to the 2 minute. I use the 2 minute, and the reason why is because when I used to use the 1 minute, seeing all of this, like you see the candle just, and it's so I always say the noise, and I use the simple explanation when people ask me why I use the 2 minute. I use it to get rid of the noise. Just look how much cleaner this looks. I'm looking, some people kind of using the strategy will say they're looking for 2-3, candles on the 1 minute. I like to use 2-3 candles on the 2 minute. Because, just look how clean. I'm trying to scroll in or zoom in, but not. This is too big of a candle for me. I actually like looking at my charts like this. That way I can see resistance from previous days and stuff. But I don't know. I just like the 2 minute so much better. It's just so much clean. Get the nice big extension here and then all the way down. This was a beautiful move. I don't think I could short it though. Nope. I'm pretty sure I brought this up when it was happening and I just couldn't play it. But what was I saying? Oh, about the average. But yeah, it would happen to me so many times where, I would take that initial position, say like here or here, and it would come down a little bit, consolidate, and then decide to go more. And I would just hold my position. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm just going to add when I feel it tops out again. And if you go back and look at all my trading videos from before, you'll see me do it over and over again, where it comes down, consolidates for, 2 or 3 candles, which is, 4 to 6 minutes, and then go. Well, if she didn't want to break down and she wants to go high a day after, 4 to 6 minutes, the odds are that when she breaks high a day, she's going to go, right? Because it consolidated. Buyers said, okay, we're still going, let's step it up. So the smart thing to do would be to cut the position, right? And I never did it. I was so emotionally in these trades saying, I want this trade to work, that I didn't realize that I was doing the wrong thing. I would simply, just say I'm not leaving my position and I would just add to it when it got up here. And I'm still going to say, 8 times out of 10, my strategy would work because I'm playing a highly probable setup. I was only playing these highly probable setups. But the catch is there's even a better way to play it. And I'm really working on how to really kind of perfect that. And that's what this month has been all about, was finding out, how to make more out of my winners, how to, cut these losers a lot quicker than I was. Like MTSI, I had, I was up on MTSI at one point and I got greedy with it. And I was up $100 at one point, looking just complete greed, looking for more. And I ended up losing 1,000. Like, how does that happen? Like, that's just stupidity. How would you have traded the stock PRVB on 610? Here, let me X out of this and go into the real money one. We can go on demand, and I can. Why don't you tell me what time it started, and then maybe I'll just trade it blind and I'll show you. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
Not GDT 10. I'm drinking, if it is you, GDT, I'm drinking what you don't consider real alcohol, I believe. Thank you for the support, obviously. Always appreciate that, whoever you are. The man, the myth, the legend. And look, this is perfect. So I can even have Mr. GDT critique. GDT, ever since I pushed him over the edge to start trading this way, uh, he has been killing it. Absolutely killing it. You guys want to see some good examples, go check out his channel. So 930 or 950. Here, we'll go 949 just to make sure. 00 on the 10th. B or PRVB. I don't think it's going to let me. It might let me trade it just because we're on demand, but we'll see. So the first thing I notice if I were to pull this up, and I'm pretty sure this thing is like stupid low float or something, wasn't it? Yeah. Let me pull up the quick look. PRVB. So 24 million. Yeah. So it's pretty much like right where I would like it. Is it halted here? Yeah, it's halted. So coming out of a halt, we obviously would have had, let's draw some lines here. We'd have had that line drawn. Looking at the daily, this thing's at all-time highs. I mean, looking at the gap up, obviously I don't look at news or anything. Obviously, definitely would be interested here. My personal opinion would be to look for this thing to break this high pre-market high of day and get extended away from that. I can tell you right now, I would only be starting with say 50 shares if I do. Okay, here we go. So I'd be looking for this thing to either use 13 as resistance, or I'd be looking for it to shoot right through. And I really hate Thinkorswim as far as their time and sales because you can't really read the tape. I was just saying that today. Now, coming out of a halt, you always got to be a little careful because things can slingshot either way. I would definitely be waiting for this thing to go. Okay, here we go. Head up towards 13. Yeah, this thing's got some range. I remember looking at it. I remember telling myself I was going to stay away from it when this was all happening. But I couldn't trade it anyway because it was hard to borrow. I don't even know if it's going to let me do it here, but we'll see. Okay, we're headed up towards 13. We'd be obviously looking for that 1250 break. We would not be touching this until it gets to 13. That's for sure. There's the 1250 break. What was the high? 1290. So she went through 1250, kind of got rejected a little bit. She might have a pretty good pullback here. Excuse me. Anytime I see that where she like it looks like she's trying to pull back hard and she keeps getting bought right back up. Okay, so she pulled back and like just like that. That can be scary. So to me, this is still a long. Anytime you see, it get bought right back up like that. Yeah, look at this thing. So far, this would be a miss. Like I said, I wouldn't be touching it until we get into that definitive 13 area. And that's been one of my problems too. I'll even say it to the ISW guys here and there where I'm looking for a key level and then I find myself getting in before that key level and it ends up getting to that key level. Yeah, PRVB was probably definitely an avoid, but I'm going to do my best. Like if I were to absolutely be convinced I was trading this, we'll see what we would do here. So we're kind of double topping here. And this is where I would be sticking to my plan. I would be saying, okay, I'm waiting until 13 or I'm not trading this at all. Because this is not, again, I'm looking for that extension too, and we're not really that extended, especially on a stock that can just go nuts. And to be completely honest, like I said, I wasn't following the stock, so I have zero clue what it's gonna do. I do my best to not watch, even if there's a stock that's clearly getting all eyes on. Um, if I can't trade it, I just don't look at it. It's a waste of time. I chug was for you, GDT. I'll get you another one too. I'll even finish this one. This is my last one though. I meant to stop and get more while we were at Pizza Fridays, but I forgot. It's right next door. Didn't walk down there. So she hit our line right there. She bounced right off the pre-market high. 11.89, 1 cent. Some people would, take that all day, look for that to hold. But to me, that's not enough. I've seen too many. That's a 50-50 play. In this case, it would have worked, at least for a scalp. But I've seen it where it gets to there, you can short, and then instantly, half second later, this thing's shooting up over 13. And when it does get through here, that's when the bulls pile in. That's when all the shorts are covering because they're using this as a stop point, which I've got a feeling we're going to see. So, yeah, look at that. It went right up to 1340. So now the game plan here is if I was looking for a short, I would be looking for the extension away from this, right? Because the odds are on a big move up, when she does have a pullback, it's going to what? It's going to come back down to that previous resistance area. So we'd be looking for a decent extension away from this. I'd say somewhere near 14. Okay, there we go. So if we can get up to 14 here quickly, I'd probably be looking to start my position. There we go, 1360. Not enough. There we go. I don't use level 2 that often, but I mean, look at these buyers. They're stepping in. And this is one of those times too where if we pulled back to 13 like right away and then continued, it's definitely not something I'd be interested in. Okay, here we go. All right, right up there. This thing might get halted. Is it getting halted here? Yep. No, still going. All right. Did it let me? Okay. So we started our position there, 1384. Look at this big seller at 14. That's going to really pop if it goes through. So we'd be looking to add another 50 if she pops through, because she's going to go like right to 1450 or so. There she goes, 1410. She's struggling. She's going to come back down through 14. Nope, there she goes. All right, see? So we were early. That's why you start small. We really want like 1450 area if we're going to add here. It'd be nice. That's the other thing too. When you're scaling in, never get your adds in too close together. Defeats the whole purpose. She's really struggling in this area though. They're running out of buyers. We added there at 1404. Just said don't do that, but when you sense the weakness there, we're looking for that to come back down. And she's definitely struggling. I could have been wrong there. But again, that's why you're scaling in. We took 50 and 50 there. So if we did add next, we'd be looking to take 100. Yep, there she goes. I don't think she's got a lot left in her here, though. If she got to 1450 right there, that would have been nice. But yeah, here we go. We're coming down now. Can't get through 14. People stepping up there at 14. Or was it printed? There we go. So we'd be looking. Our ideal goal here would be down here towards 1290, towards 13. If we can start a flush here, the odds are we'd get a nice decent one if we can get under 14. Once it starts, I mean, we're really struggling in this area. However, this is definitely starting to feel like if she does try to go again, she's going to go because she's failing 14 a bunch here. Yep, see. So this is where you kind of get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Let's see, what is the high here? 1430, 1429, so 1430. All right, so that happened really fast. Couldn't really get out. And it's still quick. I mean, we're still, that wasn't 2 or 3 minutes of consolidating. I really wanted the 14. Did it get over 1450? Yeah, it sure did. 1464. So we're still respecting here. Okay, here we go. And look at that. Look at that squeeze. See if we can get 15 here. Right at it. Right at 15. 1520. Look at this thing go. This is nuts. All right, we're going to take it there. We got 1504. On such a big move like that, the odds of this thing to keep going are not good, but holy crap, look at this thing. This is a Brian play. GDT News I'm talking about. And sometimes, guys, you got to accept the risk on these. Like if you're going to play these, this is the risk you take. Here we go. And we'd be waiting for 16 here. Look at that P&L add up. It's going. But that's why most people don't look at it. You got to play the chart. Look at this thing. There she goes. Let's go. I mean, to be honest, some people get excited when it does this, when it just keeps moving this fast. Really want 16, but it doesn't. Oh, I got that late. It actually gave me 1544. That was a big one. I clicked it. Maybe it was a little lag. I saw 1533. Let's see if we can get back down under 15 now. Our average is right there. Hopefully we can get in the green there. We can cover. Come back down, come back down. Need the ass to come down. There we go. Take half there. So we got our 200 now. Still hovering around. What did they give that to us at? 1494. Man, I saw it was in the 1480s, so it must have popped back up as I hit it. So again, this was kind of the resistance area. So we'd be looking for at least this. This is definitely a fight, that's for sure. Look at her go. This is nuts. I feel like this would be my last attempt at this. I mean, look how extended she is. She halted? She couldn't have halted after all that. She halted there. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to just jump ahead. I think it's 5 minutes, right, when it does this? Or we'll just do it this way. 4, 5. We'll go back a couple seconds. And this is why these are avoids. I don't know. That was perfect timing. All right. So look at it. Holy crap. Look at this. All right. If we were actually still playing this, You have to. I mean, you have to add there. Right when she stops that extension, 1753. Yeah, this is why they call these account killers. If for some reason you didn't cut and you're accepting the risk on this, holy shit. And this is definitely a Brian play. Yeah. I mean, once she halted and when she came out of the halt, I mean, the proper play there would have been to cut it 100%. But I'm gonna go YOLO on this thing. Holy shit. She's got a halt here again, right? Yeah. So we would just be waiting for it to unhalt. Look at that. Look at how quickly that added up. Yeah, the first ad was poop. You're right. Once, and that GDT makes a good. Oh, what happened here? GDT makes a good point that that's when the first mistake was made, and from there it compounded. Look how quickly it compounded. But this is 100% why you don't play these. Now, if I was a YOLO, I'd be looking for this to top here. And you keep doubling like that because that's the best way to bring your average up. But holy crap. What I wonder what. Oh, there we go. Whoa, look at that. Look at that pullback. 1783. And look at that. That's how quickly it can turn around. And we'll take the half there. Yeah, look, I'm actually $568 in the green on my open position of 400 shares, but I'm still down 100 on the day from that. There we go, 1750. But that's what I'm saying. If you and I always say this is why the rich get richer. If you have the account size to go YOLO on these types of plays, this is where you can make a ton of money. If you can weather the storm per se. Yes, I know GDT, and that's why you don't. I keep saying that's why you wouldn't play these, but Z-List asked how you would have played it, and this is why you don't play these Z-List because this is what can happen. Remember in the example I was giving you where she came up to where we got in, and she fell right back down. Well, this is the probability of things happening. Like these things can happen. This is a perfect example. Well, that's why if you have an account big enough, they're not going to margin call you if your account's big enough. Look, she's getting shoved down here. Again, on these pushes too, you'd be looking to see if she does get rejected. You'd be looking to add again to bring your average up even more. Yeah, these guys with, $500,000, $1 million accounts, these are the moves that they look for. These are the moves that they're looking for all day. And they're just smart about it. Like they'll take that initial entry. They'll wait till it goes up 2 points. They'll add. They'll wait till it goes up another 2 points. They'll add. Because their accounts, a couple $1,000 here and there isn't anything to them as far as going red on it. But then when it finally eventually comes back down to $10, they can ride that out. They're making bank. And that's why I always say the rich get richer, because they can weather these storms like that. As long as you know how to size in and manage your risk, these trades are perfect. Like if I would have started with 25 shares and then 25, all of this would have been half, right? So I could have weathered this. I would have only, all the way up to the top of this, I would have ended up hitting like $500 instead of, or like $600 instead of $1,200. So that's why sizing is so important. When I first pulled this up, what did I say? The range on this thing was crazy. So I started with 50 just because that was kind of like the minimum that I wanted to start with. But I should have taken into account that, this thing could move. It already moved from the day before $4 all the way up to $12. So it already showed me that it has 8 points worth of range. What's to say it can't go another 8 points? It did. So you need to always account for that kind of stuff. I'm just going to weather this out. At this point, we feel like we're in a good trade, right? She's looking weak. She got shoved down the second time. She's struggling in this 18 area. Technically, we've taken some shares off in the red already, but at this point, if she were to go high a day again, that's when you just got to cut it. You got to suck it up. Everyone's definition of overextended is going to be a little bit different. To me, this, this is super extended. When you're talking something that's only moving, 8 points in a day, when it's 4 points away from VWAP, that's pretty extended. Oh, I agree. But what about 10 to 20, right? That's pretty extended. That's when this move started down here at $10, and she got all the way up to 1990. But I can show you different charts too, where 50 cents looks super extended. It's kind of hard to, I guess, like I said, everyone's definition of overextended. Some people might think at this candle, VWAP was, it was extended from VWAP. Some people might think the top of this candle looks extended. Some people might wait until, it's up in this range for it to look extended. Like I said, everybody's definition is going to be a little bit different. And GDT is exactly correct. These moves are exactly why they're scams. Anytime you get like a move like Hunt or PRVB or Dries, all those shipping companies, they're all junk companies that are just getting pumped. That's all there is to it. But yeah, here we go. And again, at this point, we feel that we're near the top and this thing's showing signs of weakness. If she wants to keep making lower highs, we'd be looking to hold this thing because this is where patience, really pays off. We'd be looking for this thing to come down towards 16 to at least take off half our shares. And then we'd be looking for this thing to come down to one of, these two. Obviously this really isn't even a line. It felt like it in the moment that it was being used as resistance. And then look, there she goes. And that's why these things suck. But sure enough, she could just get rejected yet again. So let's see. If she goes high a day, we would just cut. There's really nothing else we can do. Because again, what did I say earlier? If you get into a position, she consolidates for, a bunch of minutes, whether it's, 4 to like 6, 8, 10, whatever. And then she decides to continue. The odds are she's just going to keep continuing. And that's the thing too, is I've been doing this too recently, is you can cut that position. And if it's a fake out, right? If you realize, okay, she went over and she came back down, you just get back in, If you're like, oh crap, I was wrong to cut there, you weren't wrong to cut. You did the right thing. It just so happened that it didn't continue that time. So if that wants to be a fake out breakout, and you just jump back in. If you're convinced that this thing's going to continue lower. You see that it's still extended. You see that she's got room to go down. You jump back in. It's that simple. But there's really no reason to hold it if she goes high a day. If she goes high a day, you'd be kind of silly for holding because the odds are she could just continue this crazy-ass move, which it looks like she's about to. And a lot of people, to be honest, on some of these crazy moves, like down here, if she would have done this move like down here, when she goes to make that move to go through high a day, you could reverse your position because the odds are when she goes for that breakout, she's going to break out just like she has been. Unfortunately, to be caught in some of these halts are just, any stock that gets halted not only once but a couple times, you don't want to be involved in these things. Pretty much any stock that can get halted, you really don't want to be involved in it. It just means it's moving way too fast. What is the high? 19 or so. Look at this thing go. Just gonna go right to 20, right there. You just gotta cut it. What did we get? 20.08. So yeah, that's how quickly things can get out of control. And yeah, look, she's gonna halt. So just out of curiosity now, since I wasn't here for this, yeah, look, she ended up going up to 22.82 out of the halt. So you cut there, right? And if you want to revenge trade this thing for whatever stupid reason, you just let her finish, right? And then you look to get back in. So you go up here, she's 22. Let's see if we go back. just kind of see if you can kind of feel the top a little bit. So she's going to shoot up here, 22.30, 22.50. Just going for the $0.50 break over through 22.87. Jeez, I think it was a beast. I honestly don't even remember this stock. I mean, I remember the name and some people talking about it, but I never looked at it while it was doing this. It's crazy. Just didn't care for good reason. You don't play these because that right there, that's what can happen. You let it get out of control. And as everyone would say, just go long, right? If you would have just went long down here. But again, these things are manipulated, and you could feel the top here. You saw it bouncing around that 22, and the spread got big, so that could have been a pretty good spot to get in, just anywhere over 22 there. And that's why these are valuable lessons, and that's also why you don't play them. Using a strategy that started with 50 shares, ended up losing $1,000. No bueno. But it was actually not too bad. It was actually a perfect example of showing you guys the probability that these things do happen. So even if this only happens, every even if something like this only happens 2% of the time, like, you have to be ready for it, right? You need to be ready for these. But at the same time, like GDT and myself will tell you, you shouldn't be playing these. These are we call them account killers, and that's why. This is exactly why they're called account killers. Sure, you can make a lot of money. Like, say you waded through all of this and you top tick this thing and you made $1,000, right? Okay. But when you get involved in these, 2 out of 3 times and you don't top tick it, and you end up losing $2,000 trying to play it, right? Well, it's just not worth it. Like, it's not worth the stress, like, there's so many easier setups than playing these lower float, crazy stocks that can move like this. It's just, it makes no sense. That's why I avoid these at all costs. Let's jump out of this. I was going to say, I was curious what it did after that happened. And yeah, she just died off, ended up right back down in that $11 to $12 area. But that's what I'm saying. Those guys with the big accounts, they size into those. They can keep going. They're accounting, okay, if this thing goes to 30, if this thing goes to 40, bring it. My account can handle it. And then when it finally breaks, they're sized in, their average is up there, on something like this in the 20s, even if it's at like 20, and they're just banking as this thing comes all the way back down. I mean, that's where a lot of the big money's made. But if you are trading a smaller account, or you're just starting and you don't know how to manage your risk in these trades, just avoid completely. I know, like, today was ARQL. What was the float on ARQL? 97 million. So, like, something like this is a lot safer to play. I was actually looking for this thing to kind of consolidate here at the open after a little bit of a flush and then continue higher. But if you look at it, she tried to go higher here in pre-market, and I mean, what do you see here? It's not like the most perfect. Oh, that was bad. It's not like the most perfect one, but it's a descending triangle, right? So if you recognize this in the pre-market, you could tell that this was probably what was going to happen, and it's what happened, right? So this was a pretty high probable setup of being a descending triangle. So, I mean, look at the move here. You could have got in as it was squeezing tight here. Even as you realized, like, if we zoom in here, at the bell, she dropped down. She tried to come back up, and she just kept getting denied as she went over $9, right? So even on any 3 of these 2-minute candles, if you just, let's just go to the 1 minute just to see what it looks like. Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at this. She just kept trying and trying and trying. So if on any of these you just decided to jump in short, I mean, she gave you 70 cents, 60 to 70 cents, like it was nothing. And then pretty much after that, I mean, this was another beautiful one. She kind of kept going, and she didn't want to drop any higher, consolidated. This is your move down. She gives you a little bit of ascending triangle here. It's a mini one, but it's there. And then she breaks out. And then, I mean, this would have been another beautiful short. She comes up to VWAP, fails it. You could have got short here at all, looking for VWAP to risk off of. And then she came down and gave you, what was this? VWAP is at like 75. She gave you another 30 cents right there. So there's so many easier plays out there that aren't these low float, crap setups that, you can make good money on, right? So if you, even with 200 shares here on 70 cents, it's big money, 140 bucks. Yeah, yeah, that was a great one. Let's see. Some made a nice big para, and then we were talking about this one right into the descending triangle, and this is the blueprint. The big para move into a descending triangle, and then boom. So, like I said, if you're looking, and if you're not playing the front side or trying to feel the top, like myself and GDT are doing, you want a safer play, look for these descending triangles after the big paras. The odds are, I mean, these are the high percentage plays. These happen all the time. You just have to wait for the pairs to happen. And I mean, like, look at this one. This was completely different. Can you see the difference in these two? So this one had the big move, but look at what does it look like? It looks more like a bull flag or ascending triangle, right? So you steer clear of that one. And this is a good example of what I was talking about. Like if you got in somewhere in here, like 15, we'll say say it popped through 1550, right? This is actually perfect. This is something I would trade. It pops through 1550. I look to get in. She drops down to, well, I would have definitely got out of this at 1510. I would have got out somewhere down in here. But say for some reason you're looking for the bigger move all the way back down, right? She tries here, fails 15, and if for some reason you didn't get out, you need to respect that when she goes to break high a day here, and look at the move she made. You can't just hold on and then look to add when she finally makes a new high. You need to cut right here, right? Because the odds of this move happening, not necessarily this big, but the odds of her continuing up higher are very good, right? Because she consolidated, failed to go low, and so she came back up. But when she comes up and she starts making a descending triangle, I mean, it's a completely different ball game, right? I mean, look at the two different setups. Same para move. Look at this setup afterwards. Completely different. So this is what you're looking for. I mean, you can even look for these. Like if you're a long bias trader, I mean, these happen all the time too. If a stock is strong, she's going to come down, test, and then and then what do you notice here too? This is my favorite thing, like one of my favorite things. So if you draw this line, this was the previous resistance, right? Well, when you get that push through, I'm always looking for that extension away from that previous resistance, right? Because the odds are, if it's a really strong stock, when she finally finds her top, she's almost always going to come down and test that previous resistance. And I would say like 8 times out of 10 on these junk stocks that are just up on bogus PR, they're going to come down, test it, and fail, just like this one did. She actually kind of went sideways the rest of the day, but she ends up down there. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. But I would say 8 times out of 10, I would say probably 9 times out of 10, if you start looking for this, like look for a big resistance area, it goes through. I'd say 9 times out of 10, it comes down and at least tests that area before continuing higher. If it does continue higher, it almost always does. I always tend to, on like setups like these, I look for VWAP just to at least take half my position. Sometimes I'll take like 75, 80% of my position. But I always try to hold on to more looking for that touch because it almost always comes. That's like my favorite thing to look for. But yeah, good throw in there, GDT. This was definitely a perfect one. I mean, these are definitely the para into a DT. I mean, those are pretty textbook. I was like, where'd my beer go? But Speaking of some, I think that about sums up what I was really trying to cover tonight as far as probability goes. As I'll open the floor to you guys if you have any questions. I'll answer those before I get out of here, but it sounds like per Friday night usual, I am waking my little one up because I hear him crying, and I'm sure I'll get yelled at when I go upstairs. I'm actually going to take a nice oatmeal bath. I'm going to try to actually get some sleep tonight. Wife stopped and got me this stuff that you take a bath in, and hopefully it'll stop the itching a little bit. Excuse me. GDT, thanks again for the donation. I will get you back. It's what we do. TMISW for life. Yeah. Did you go golfing? How'd you do? Did you watch any of the Open today? I meant to. Dang, Rose had a horrible day, huh? Oh no, that was just okay. So he was under one, -1. Woodland, McIlroy's up there. I didn't watch any today. Scrolling, looking for Woods. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's even. +1 today. Mickelson, -2. Dude, I haven't slept in like 2 months. The one weekend I actually had a chance to sleep in, my wife went away with her mother. That was sad. They went on like some spa vacation at Hershey Park. She got to like take a bath in chocolate, get a massage with like chocolate lotion and stuff. I was so jealous. Meanwhile, I'm at home with poison ivy, itching, 2 kids waking up in the middle of the night. But any of you guys got any questions? I'll give you another 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Because I actually have 5 games to umpire this weekend, and 4 of them are actually solo games. There's a Father's Day tournament, and the assigner actually decided to give me 4 solo games, all 10U games. So I have one of those tomorrow, which is a bracket game, or round robin game, and then I have another non-tournament game after that, like later in the day, and then Sunday I have 3 bracket games for the tournament, all back to back to back. So I got 3 games behind the plate by myself in a row. So that should be fun. Luckily, it's 10Us. It's on the smaller field. So, and I'm pretty sure the last game is a championship game. So that should be fun. Actually, it can't be because the championship game would have 2 umpires, which makes me sad now. So I'm working 3 games in a row, and I don't even get the championship game. That's kind of crappy. And the beer's gone. Any questions? 50 seconds, 53, 52, 51, 50. I do have fun. I started doing it because like when my son was born, I just love baseball, and I can't wait to just enjoy him playing baseball. So I wanted to get back into the game. So I was like, well, I might as well make some money doing it. I'm not going to like go coach for free or something. Although I'm sure I'll be coaching when he gets old enough. But I was like, yeah, I used to umpire when I was little, and it was some fun. So I decided to get back into it, and I actually really enjoy it. So, I've got to do some high school games. I've been doing a lot of adult like 22 plus, 35 plus, 45 plus games, and they're a lot of fun. It's cool to be on the other side of it. I used to play. I was a pitcher all just through high school. I attempted to go to college, but that's a whole side story. And but yeah, no problem, Thomas. Thanks for stopping by. Zlesk as always. Yeah, I mean, if you have any actual questions or want to talk more about the setups, feel free to message me or just leave comments on the videos. I'm always willing to dive down and talk some more about them. But the more you talk about it, the more you're keeping your mind on it, the more you're learning, and that's what this is all about. It's all about screen time. And that's kind of why I started doing these live streams too. It's like you guys might bring up something that I haven't seen, or, I might have a question about and I don't know. And that's the whole point of this, is to learn. If I can help teach somebody something that I know, that's awesome. If you can bring up something so that we can both learn something, even better. Because I'm not some expert trader. I will be one day, but I'm not right now. So that's what this is all about. This is, going through the hardships, going through the learning, going through putting in the time, getting the screen time, learning everything there is to know about everything. And so each week, with these live streams, obviously last week I was on a little bit of a mini vacation, which wasn't a vacation. That kind of sucked. I mean, well, it was fun, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But every week, I'm picking a topic to talk about, something to learn. Like there's so many parts of the market, and I try to pick ones that really kind of focus on the way I trade. So there is that. I'm a little bit biased, but I'm always down to talk about other things as well. I used to trade all the technicals when I first started trading, and so I know about those. I know what people are looking. People are looking for these setups. So I know that when it gets to this point, the odds are, all the buyers are going to jump in. So that's why you would cut there. It would be silly for you to not. So I'm going to leave it at that. I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I still don't have an exit. So I'm just going to hit the stop button. I'm going to get it all set up. You guys have a good weekend. I will see you guys on Monday. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Always appreciate the support. You guys know that. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday.